Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
So I am just enthralled with SOS Nutrients. And so my first question to you is, how did you get started with the company? How did all of this stuff transpire?
So it came about because I had several of my own physical issues. I had psoriasis, I had blood sugar issues, I had a weight issue, et cetera, et cetera. And so I started really looking into a whole bunch of things around how to get healthy. First, I went to doctors and it didn't seem to be going well. So I started looking into my own, like what other ways can I deal with this nutritionally? And then I just ended up becoming fascinated with what was out there, and I started looking into it more. I started looking into cancer, even though I don't have cancer. I started looking into heart disease, and all of these studies that were just pretty much amazing in terms of what can be done to prevent these things and even reverse them in some cases.
Right.
So I started looking into that. Then several friends ended up getting very sick, and I helped them in the last months of their life. These were all preventable diseases, and I was seeing all of this nutritional information that showed how to prevent that.
Right.
And I couldn't find products that I thought were on the market to really help them without spending huge amounts and buying it from all these different sources and putting it together. So at the end,
So you did it yourself?
So I did it myself.
Okay. Question. So I'm going to follow up with a second part of the question is that you're not a vitamin supplement company. You're a whole foods company, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's a packet right there, and you're not buying anything that's a tablet. You're not buying anything that's any other type of vitamin. You're actually buying something that and what we're going to do here today is put it in a smoothie.
Yeah.
Okay. So question number 2, how do you source all these things? You have these very unique products that don't come from Los Angeles. I mean, tell me, like you were talking about overseas, India, Iceland, these places. How did you find all this stuff?
So it took over 3 years of doing a deep dive of research. That's after 25 years of really doing research on what is healthy and how to do things from that perspective. But then it took over 3 years of actually looking into products and where I can find them. So I'll give you an example. So it's important that people get iodine. Most people are deficient in iodine.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get it from potassium iodine, which is a synthetically made where you iodine form.
Right.
I don't think that's the best way. And of course, everybody knows about iodinized salt, but that's very low absorption. It's not great. It will prevent goiter, but it's not ideal for actual health. So what I did is I sourced this, and I went to many different places, but I sourced it from Iceland, a blend of 3 organic kelps. And Iceland specifically, because it's so far away from any industrial area, so there's not pollution in the area. It's beautifully pristine. And it's standardized, so we know exactly how much iodine is in there. But it's a green leafy vegetable, and it's got a full spectrum of 72 minerals. So it's a fantastic way of getting iodine, and that's just one of many things.
And the other one for this question was, we talked a little bit about turmeric before we turned the camera on.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually sourced that from India?
Yes, yeah, that one gets from India. And the truth is, I'm going to be sourcing things and changing those sources. If I can find a better source, I'll do it. But right now, there's a specific Indian source that I really like, curcumin value, organic, and it's just a great source. So yeah.
So in essence, SOS Nutrients is going to kind of grow, not just hopefully financially, but it's going to grow in terms of the ingredients as it needs to.
Absolutely. I'm going to constantly be finding things that are better, and I'm going to change it as I do.
So next question is, you're filling a need in the market. Why is the market like this? A lot of doctors and people, they're always anti-vitamins. Vitamin is this, and you and I actually had a conversation the last time I was here about Linus Pauling and vitamin C and ascorbic acid and whatever. But just like medicines, just like pharmaceuticals, most of them are made in China. Are we sort of seeing the same thing here? Because more people want vitamins. I think more and more people are interested in vitamins. but they're going to Trader Joe's or Myers 50 Acres or even the Piggly Wiggly in Florida, and they're buying these capsules, and in your estimation, that's probably not the best way to go.
Well, so one, the most recent review that I saw on the percentage of Americans that are buying supplements, it's like 78%. So it's a huge.
That's a lot of people.
That's huge
I
percentage.
Thought about 56. That's way.
That's
more.
what I would guess it
tens
was.
of millions more. Yeah,
I was shocked at how high it is. But the unfortunate thing is most supplements that people are buying, well over 90%, are synthetic, unless you're buying just turmeric or something like that. Right. But almost everything is, if you look at the actual ingredients, if it's they're almost
ascorbic acid.
Ascorbic acid or liposomal vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid wrapped in a fat coating, or for better absorption, right? But it's not ideal because it doesn't have any of the cofactors, doesn't have any of the bioflavonoids. So it doesn't have, on its own, it won't have vitamin activity.
Right. Do you think that it may be harmful to people or just has no synergistic effect? You know, you're pooping it out, essentially. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, it depends. And so ascorbic acid can be used as a drug. So where you get it injected and then you actually have plasma with high oxygen put in so that your body actually converts it on the site of cancer where it creates hydrogen peroxide. Without going into deep, that's a different thing. You're talking about it as a drug, as being used. Right. But when you're talking about it being used as a nutrition source to basically for optimal health, it is not the way. Because
and you know that the big thing in medicine right now is vitamin intravenous, vitamin IVs. I mean, there's 3 or 4 places here in town that have vitamin IVs. I've had one before, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm getting these medicinal type liquid vitamins that are essentially synthetic. Now they're going directly into the bloodstream.
Yeah,
so
it's not my ideal.
Well, okay. So the last question here is that, you know, I'm really understanding that your product is probably one of the best on the market.
Well, I'm biased, so
no,
agree with you.
and again, when I first met you, I told you that in the 1980s, I sort of talked with my first nutrition company. You know, was on the Balance Bar Advisory Council and all these other things. So I followed the trends in nutrients, and I'm looking at your product, and I'm like, this is really a special product, and I applaud you for it. So my last question is, where do you see yourself in the next few years? Where would you like to see SOS Nutrition?
So what I would like to see is, one, I want to demonstrate that this works. So I have set up a little pilot study, but I have several other pilot studies that are in the making that are going to happen over the next couple of years. And what I want to be able to do is demonstrate to people that this isn't like anything else on the market, because it is comprehensive. So there are non-synthetic ingredients that you can buy on the market, but there's nothing comprehensive. And so what I was trying to do is create a situation where somebody who's very interested in health creates something like a smoothie. I'm also going to have savory, like a stew or something that they can mix it into. But something like a smoothie where you have green leafy vegetables. There's green leafies in here. And we're talking about massive quantities because most Americans don't get enough green leafy vegetables.
But are you thinking about getting the product in from, like with Balance Bar, they went to some health food stores, to more health food stores, and then they went into commercial. Do you see this? Do you see this in commercial spaces? Do you see it like something that a restaurant chain may use or something? I don't know.
Theoretically, but I think the way that it's going to get out there is more organically. And so what I'm doing is working with people that have influence that are going to be I'm going to be testing their blood beforehand and afterward.
Right.
And they're going to communicate, good, bad, or ugly. But I'm telling you, I already know where it's going. Their antioxidant levels are going to go up. Their inflammation is going to go down. Their full spectrum nutrients are going to go to a better place, and it's going to be balanced, because that's really key. All of these things will be looked at, and my ultimate goal will be to go, and this is something I'm working with a doctor in Ventura on, is creating a program for reversing cancer. I know that sounds crazy, but
it's not crazy. I mean, you're talking to a guy that's been involved in cancer research for a long time. There are many ways to reverse cancer, and nutrition is probably the biggest one.
But what I want to do is target it, so you first get the person nutritionally super sound, but then you target things like, sulforaphane from broccoli and cauliflower and things like that. But you don't use just broccoli. You use broccoli sprouts because it has 10 to 100 times the level of sulforaphane.
But that's all in your...
It is, but that's not for an efficacious dose to reverse cancer.
Right. Well,
what I'm talking about is
right.
taking it to the next level,
Right.
so that people can really take control of their health. But if somebody just wants to prevent cancer, this is a fantastic way.
I just think just in terms of general health, because I'm taking it every day now, and you and I had this conversation about I just put it in water and drink it.
That's not the ideal.
It's not the ideal way. The ideal way is what we're going to do here next. So we'll talk a little bit more when we get to the blender. All right. So I appreciate that.
Okay.
Appreciate that. And that's a wrap, is what they